Hello, this is International Professional Communication, the week that focuses on nonverbal language and intercultural communication. We'll explore the role of nonverbal communication in international professional communication, consider some scenarios and how you would proceed. You also will continue to work here on the Documentation for Translation project. And in the course forum, share direction as you are preparing instructions for translation. Again, respond to key resources for the week. And also, this is the second time to have an exercise with the use of the Google Cardboard device. You will see again in the on the Canvas site the detail regarding what to read and discuss. Continue to use a couple of resources there in support of your documentation for translation efforts, the Google Cardboard exercise, and then a checklist in terms of work due. Last week, I meant to highlight more this resource from Molly Amel, the Writing for Translation. This was her capstone project, and she used the Global English Style Guide and worked to take the key components from that and to share them these as writing tips, benefits, resources. I highly recommend that you click on this this senior project that she completed again for the Technical Writing and Communication program. Back to nonverbal language. You know, imagine what it would be like to not understand the meaning of a nonverbal gesture. Imagine that you are new to the North American culture and you're interacting with a new colleague at work. In the flow of conversation, your colleague suddenly stops talking, smiles, points his index finger in the air about 5 or 6 inches from his right ear, and very quickly, in a circular motion, twirls and twists his finger. Although you understand that he means something very specific by this nonverbal gesture, you are unsure of the meaning. You feel awkward, uncomfortable. Not only because you don't understand your colleague, but also because you have the sense that your colleague assumes that you do. A major challenge for individuals seeking to become competent in a foreign culture is learning its traffic rules of interpersonal communication. Becoming an accurate diagnostician of cultural differences in interpersonal communication requires competence in the nonverbal language of the new culture. Now, that is just a quote from the Malinsky, Ambati, and Choi article for this week, Cracking the Nonverbal Code, Intercultural Competence and Gesture Recognition Across Cultures. But again, just as this picture indicates, it can be very awkward. How do we know what this, what does each of these mean to you? I can assure you it does not mean the same thing in every culture. When I oftentimes refer to the several years of work in Japan, and I remember at points just telling myself, Anne, sit on your hands. Don't make a gesture, because the gesture you'll make could well be so inappropriate. So just be careful. And we think in our many business contexts, study this. Obviously, I have no text associated with this picture, but what does all of the nonverbal tell you? The importance of nonverbal language in intercultural communication. Okay, let's do an exercise. What would each gesture mean in your culture? What situation might lead to this gesture? What reaction would you expect? What would you expect? A reaction in terms of, okay, say, look at number 9. I'm scratching my chin. What does that mean? Or number 5, I'm pointing to my nose. What does that mean? It was one of the ones I had, gestures I had to get used to in Japan. It meant, is it me? Is it my turn? I was used to, pointing to my chest, my turn. No, it's pointing to your nose. Is it my turn? Again, what does each of these mean? And what does it mean, say, in a particular culture? I've drawn these from the resource listed here. And notice A in the US means everything is all right. But in France, it's 0, you're worthless. In Japan, it's about money. In Germany, it means get lost. Malta, Greece, Brazil, it's obscene. In Turkey, refers to homosexual. Look at B. At least I'm a little bit used to stop. Just be careful, stop. But it means other things in Turkey or West Africa. Look at C. Peace, victory. But in Australia, it's rude. D. It can perhaps mean something obscene, or it could even mean as much as good luck in Brazil. In Turkey or Italy, you're crazy. In US, hey, solve the problem, work the problem. And last one, F, nah, it's okay, no problem. But in Iran, it means get lost. Okay, hopefully you've got the point here. There are many, many articles on traditional movements, symbolic movements of different countries. In this case, southern Italy. But what things mean that may be the opposite. You may think it's waving goodbye when it means come, and vice versa. In this case, the hand held with fingers close together, palm faced toward the body, fingertips under the chin, whole hand rapidly flipped outward. What does it mean? In different things, different cultures. In Varner and Beamer, it talks quite a bit about all the different things to examine. On page 219, they say in this chapter we will examine paralanguage, vocal qualifiers, vocalization, nonverbal conventions in face-to-face communication, eye contact, facial expression, gestures, timing in spoken exchange, touching, language of space, appearance, and critical, the role of silence. I've found this little workshop online, an awareness-raising workshop, to be pretty valuable. Now, I don't expect you to automatically know what each of these refers to. You know some of them, haptics, eye contact, but notice this unit now on nonverbal language, very inclusive of all of these different things and all of these different components that one needs to be aware of as part of your international professional communication. Some scenarios, and I will include these slides on the site as well so that you can see these and read them and give each more detail. I have 4 quick scenarios here, all from Paul Verluiten from the University of Antwerp in Belgium. It says, one summer I was on holiday in Bulgaria. We lived with a Bulgarian family, and once in the evening we invited them to go out and have a cup of coffee. They replied, da, yes, but turned their head from the left to the right as if they were saying no. It really surprised me because we did not understand what they meant. We didn't know whether the invitation was accepted or not. Another scenario. From Morocco, I was in Agadir, Morocco with a friend of mine who was born in Belgium but has a Moroccan father. Invited to dinner, told me in advance we would need to eat with our hands. At one point I could feel I did something terribly wrong. As soon as my friend noticed I was using my left hand, he told me in Dutch to stop immediately doing so. And after that, everything went fine. Huge. You do not, it's taboo to use your left hand because it's used for cleaning yourself when you go to the toilet. You never use your left hand for eating. I certainly was instructed with this advice before my trip and work in Morocco. Scenario, in Italy, it's quite common among males to kiss each other on both cheeks. Well, in England, I wanted to wish an English friend a Merry Christmas and approached to kiss. He backed off, horrified. Another scenario, I traveled throughout Europe for 20 days. In Italy, we got lost, could not find our hostel. A nun offered to help, though she spoke very little English. She had emotion that was foreign to us. We interpreted it as meaning to go away. In reality, she was begging us to follow. If we go back and see this, it's what they're talking about, I believe, here. What other instances have you had as you've worked with people? I know that some of you have already shared some of your times of learning when the nonverbal language, what you assumed it meant, was not correct. It's all about cracking the nonverbal code. Intercultural competence and gesture recognition across cultures. This is the study that I gave a quote from earlier here. They had two hypotheses that they looked at. The first was that there would be a positive relationship for non-natives between length of stay in a foreign setting and gesture recognition accuracy. Their second hypothesis is the ability to accurately distinguish between valid and invalid gestures in a foreign culture will be associated with higher levels of intercultural communication competency. And the results of their study suggest that, yes, both of those are true. In particular, in the domain of nonverbal behavior and gestures is strongly associated with perceptions of intercultural communication competence. So they suggest it makes sense for cross-cultural trainers to incorporate nonverbal behavior into training, just as it makes a whole lot of sense for Varner and Beamer to include this chapter in their text. And for us to give us some time as well. The author here, Nduli, Intercultural Misunderstanding in South Africa. Be sure to read the scenarios that she shares. One of them is about Michael and Makoba. And one Friday afternoon, Michael arrives at Makoba's home. The door is opened by Mrs. Mentubu, Makoba's mother. After greeting him in Zulu, she extends a hand to him. With a smile, Michael says, "Hi, Lizzie," and attempts to embrace her. But she steps back, shocked. She tells him to take a seat. And she goes out and calls to Makoba and says, she's a bit annoyed. And says to her son in Zulu that your friend doesn't show me much respect. Large differences across cultures. This one, this article made me think of some popular reading. You may know of Trevor Noah and his book, Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood. I'm one who enjoys listening to books and Audible, and this is one that I'm in the last hour or so right now, and very good in terms of what I'm learning about cross-cultural, intercultural competencies, and his many descriptions of nonverbal language across all of the different subcultures of South Africa. I added one additional resource here by Popper because it relates to our use of Google Cardboard and VR, virtual reality again. And also he says, you know, it's cracking the elaborate code why body language holds the key to virtual reality. It is a bit of a stretch from our topic, but it's a quick read. I'm hoping you will find it interesting. So the work due this week continued our workhorse, so to speak, that course forum. Refer to the Cole text, also to Molly Amel's work, Writing for Translation, as you begin to develop your first draft of instructions. I'll talk about the Google Cardboard exercise in a moment. And then please, indeed, review in depth the documentation for translation project. Note the timeline, and during this first week, note that you will be paired with a student from the University of Trieste in Italy. Your Google Cardboard week. Please use it again as a means to view recordings of other cultures, but this time you're going to be really watching for nonverbal communication, eye contact, vocal qualifiers, facial expressions, gestures, timing, in spoken exchanges, touching, the language of space, appearance, and silence. So keep this list in front of you as you watch, or keep it in your mind, I guess, as you're watching. I give some possible links to films to view. If you find something better, please share the URL of what you watched and how it has helped toward creating a deeper understanding of nonverbal language. I give one last URL to check out there. And with it, consider the question, how does this video viewing, this use of VR in the Google, how does it help you to feel perhaps more invested in other cultures? Here is a screenshot of that site and just some of the VR films that you can link to. I have not found a site that has anyway, I keep searching for a better site, but this is the one I have to share at this point. And here's the article on trends in virtual reality and culture. Last, what do our emotions and how is this nonverbal language being read? And how are devices being devised to read that nonverbal emotion? One of the devices that I've studied the last few years, it's back in production with Google, but a Google Glass. And this is this is an Emotient app for the Google Glass device. And so that as you're wearing it, it interprets the mood of the other person. So you can see a little bit of how this setup is. And I was thinking, oh, there's not too many devices doing it. This is back in R&D. And then someone was sharing with me about this guy Dan, and he's part of a National Geographic thing, and the devices that he's wearing are of this type. And he's gone across the UK, it's national parks, and he has what he thinks his reaction is to what he's seeing, and then that's compared with the device and the diagnostics from the device. So you can see how Dan's emotions in cities then compare with his emotions of national parks and so on. I just include these at the end of this video to have you think about, especially as technical communicators, what are the devices being designed? How are they working to measure nonverbal language? And how will we design the help and the instructions, and how will we be part of the design of the devices, of these wearable devices going forward? Thanks. I look forward to our discussions.